Fraction equivalencies 1A. So for this activity, we will need 2 whole fraction rectangles. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 out. And I am going to build half on the top rectangle. So there's half. So we need to find the number of fourths that will cover the same amount of space as half. So we are going to use our fourths and let's cover up the same amount of space. How many fourths did it take to equal half? 2 fourths. It took 2 fourths to equal half. So fractions are equivalent when they have the same value. So when you're using the fraction rectangles, the fractions are equivalent when they cover the same amount of space. When you're comparing fractions of the same size. So we're going to go ahead and find A on our worksheet. And what fraction is shaded on the top rectangle? What fraction is shaded on the top? 1 over 2, right? Half. So we're going to write 1 over 2. Look at the bottom rectangle. How many equal parts is it going to take to equal half? How many parts have to be shaded to equal 1 over 2? 2 parts, right? 2 parts out of 4 equal parts. So we're going to shade 2 parts out of 4 equal parts, and we're going to write 1/2 is equal to 2 over 4. So let's continue with the second one. How many parts What fraction is shaded on the top rectangle? 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2. So how many parts have to be shaded to be equal to 1 over 2, or half? 1, 2, 3. So we're going to shade 3 parts out of how many equal parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 over 6. So half is equal to 3 out of 6. Letter C. What fraction is shaded on the top rectangle? 1 out of 2, which is half. So how many parts have to be shaded on my second rectangle to be equal to 1 over 2? Well, it will take 4 pieces. 4 parts. 4 parts out of how many equal parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 out of 8. Letter D. What fraction is shaded on the top rectangle? 1 out of how many equal parts? 2. 1 out of 2 equals, well, we need to see how many parts have to be shaded to equal to half. Well, I will have to shade 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 parts out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 out of 10. Letter E. What fraction is shaded on the top rectangle? 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2 is equal to, how many parts do I have to shade? I have to shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6 out of 12 equal parts. Now we're going to work with finding equivalent fractions using the fraction circles. Okay, so I'm going to take out 2 fraction circles and I'm going to build half on one of my circles. So there's half. So how many fourths would it take to cover the same amount of space as this half? So how many fourths? So how many fourths equal half? 2. 2 fourths equal half. So now let's find F on your worksheet. And on your worksheet, on F, let's go ahead and shade. What fraction is shaded on the left circle? 1 is shaded out of 2. 1 out of 2. Look at the right circle. How many equal parts? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 equal parts. And how many parts have to be shaded to equal to half? How many parts have to be shaded to equal to half? This one and this one. So 2 equal parts out of 2 parts out of 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 out of 4. Let's continue with the next one. What fraction is shaded on the left circle? 1 out of 2. Let's look at the right circle. How many equal parts does this circle have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 equal parts. How many parts have to be shaded to equal to half? So how many equal parts have to be shaded to equal half? 3. How many equal parts do we have? So there's 3 out of 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 over 6. Half is equal to 3 over 6. What fraction is shaded on the left circle? 1 out of 2. You still have 1 shaded part out of 2 equal parts. How many equal parts does this circle have? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. How many parts have to be shaded to equal half? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 8. Now let's look at A on your worksheet again. We divided the bottom rectangle into 4 equal parts. Okay, how many fourths did it take to equal half? 2 fourths, right? So half is equivalent. Remember that the word equivalent means equal. Half is equivalent to 1 over 2. And we multiplied by 2. So if we multiply our denominator by 2, we have to multiply our numerator by 2. And that equals 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. That gives us 2 fourths, 2 fourths. Okay, so we're going to take out our rectangles and we're going to build the 2 fractions. So here they are, half and 2 fourths. So what can we do mathematically to the numerator and the denominator of half so that they can equal 2 fourths? Okay, what can I do to half to make it equal to 2 fourths? Well, we know that 2 times 2 equals 4. So I have to do the same thing to my numerator, multiply it by 2. So I multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So 1 over half times 2 over 2 equals, well, 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And that is how we come to our equivalent fraction of 2/4. To make an equivalent fraction, equivalent fractions can be created by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Let's look at B on our handout. So how many 6 equal half? 3/6. So we know that half is equivalent to 3/6. So let's look at the denominators. Let's look at the denominators of the two fractions. What factor times 2 will give us a product of 6? Well, let's count by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 3. So 2 times 3 equals 6. If I did that to my denominator, I have to do that to my numerator. 1 times 3 equals 3. So half times 3/3 equals 3/6. Okay, so let's look at letter C. Again, look at the denominator of both fractions, of the two fractions. What factor times 2 will give us a product of 8? So 2 times 4 equals 8. 1 times 4 equals 4. 1/2 times 4/4 equals 4/8. Let's look at letter D. Our denominator is 2. What factor times 2 will give us a product of 10? 2 times 5 equals 10. 1 times 5 equals 5. Letter E, 2 times, look at our denominator. What factor times 2 will give us a product of 12? Well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 2 times 6 equals 12. 1 times 6 equals 6. So 1/2 times 6/6 equals 6/12. Okay. 2, let's look at our denominators, 2 and 4. 2 times what equals 4? 2 times 2 equals 4. 1 times 2 equals 2. Letter G, look at our denominators, 2 and 6. What factor times 2 equals 6? Well, 2, 4, 6 is 3. So 2 times 3 equals 6. 1 times 3 equals 3. So you will continue that same process. On number 1, the top fraction models are shaded to represent a fraction. Shade the second model for each problem to show a fraction that is equivalent to the first. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number to solve mathematically. So I will do this example with you. So this is half. 1 is shaded out of 2. 1 out of 2. How many pieces need to be shaded to equal half? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 out of 10. Then you will use multiplication, okay? So what factor times 2 equals 10? 2 times 5 equals 10. 1 times 5 equals 5. You will continue that same process for numbers 1 through 10.